Hello and thank you for tuning in the channel. Today we're going to be looking at our 2002 Toyota Camry. There's an issue with the front driver's side wheel. I don't know what the damage is. It sounds really bad, feels like it could be really bad. May not even be worth fixing the car. So we're going to pull the wheel off today, take a look at it, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with something so that we can get this car back on the road and start driving it again. Okay, go ahead. Do it again. Is it off? Okay, stop. Still grabbing it. Rotor may be warped there. So we've got a Toyota Camry here, and the car was just driving just horrendous. I mean, it felt like a wheel was about to come off. It was like a bucking bronco or something, and so I pulled over and checked the lugs on the wheels. They were good. Thought it was actually a broken tie rod or something. I knew I had a bad tie rod, but started looking a little closer and realized that this hub here is actually locked up. So you know, the rotor will not move at all, and you can see the brakes are, maybe you can see, but you know, the brakes are just not allowing that to move. Okay, here's the other side, so we should be getting, you know, movement, something like that. Over here, there's just absolutely nothing, no movement at all. All right, so we've turned the drum out to make it a little easier to get to. I'm going to be spraying some brake parts cleaner on everything before we start working on it here. So there's two slide pins here, one at the top, one here at the bottom. Those are 14 millimeters. We're going to loosen those first. Okay, so we've got the two screws out. That's what they look like. So we're just going to try to move the caliper here and just set it up here and kind of get a look and see what's going on. That's really stuck on there. Alright, here's the piston right here. So we need to try to depress that in. So I'm going to go in from over here and just try to push against, see if we can get that piston to go in some. Alright, I pushed it in a little bit here. see if we can get the caliper up. So that is just not going in, staying against the inner brake pad there. Need to tie this up really. But we've got movement here, so it has freed up. So we need to look at that. May have to replace the whole caliper here. I think the brake pads are going to be okay. Alright, so just to do a little test here, I've put the slide pins back in place. I'm not really going to tighten them, just kind of hand tighten them here. And you can see the rotor has free movement here. Got a couple of, I got some lug nuts against it to keep it in place. So let's apply the brakes and see if the cylinder, if the piston, which I have moved back enough, you know, just to kind of clear it from the rotor there. Let's see if that will actually, once I apply the brakes, let's see if it will pump back. Now there has been no leakage of any fluid here. Any lines don't have any leakage on them. The pedal is spongy. It shouldn't be. It should be tighter. So let me set up a camera here.
Okay, stop. Okay, stop.
I never put it in reverse.
You didn't? Well, it was moving.
Just as I thought, completely locked up again. So that caliper is not, or that piston is not working. So let's see if I can move it here. Back in there a little bit. And so I've got movement now after pushing it back a little bit. So we could rebuild the caliper there alone. It'd probably be easier, or probably be cheaper to do it that way. But I'm going to opt for just buying a new caliper and maybe the bracket brace here as well, and see if that will do the job and fix the problem that we have here. So I'm removing the caliper brace bracket here, and I've got the caliper just sitting up here for now. I'm going to probably tie it up so it doesn't fall. Don't want to damage the line here. I have loosened the banjo nut there, or banjo bolt, I guess, so it'll be easy to remove when I need to. You know, taking the two bolts that hold the caliper onto the brace here. That's these two bolts here. Those are out already, allowing me to put the caliper up here. Next I'm going to remove the brace here. There's two bolts, and I used 11/16. It's probably not the right size. It's a little loose. I'll try to get you the right size a little later here. But it's two brace bolts, one right here and then one right here. I'll also try to find the torque specs on those two. So those are loosened as well, so I can start taking everything apart. But I'm going to go ahead and spray down everything here, get all this dust So just working on these brace bolts here. Just took this one out. That is a 17 millimeter. Working on the top one now. And I'm going to use my other hand because it looks like it's going to fall right out when I take the bolt out. So I'm going to take this off with the brakes in place. Here we have the new caliper. I believe this is a wherever. Went online, saw this for about $62. Bought this at Advanced Auto. I didn't see their screen, but they said 62 bucks, so I'm assuming it's the wherever. I've been trying out the bolt here to see if it fits the support bracket, and thread's real nice. There's a look at the piston. I don't know if you can see it, but we'll see how this fits. We'll put the pads in here with the plates, and then I'll just put it back on the car. So hopefully it'll work out. Here's the plug for the banjo bolt. There's the bleed. Didn't have a little rubber deal on it. Also, banjo bolt did not come with 2 copper washers, so you know, I don't know if that was just missing or what, but 62 bucks, and that's after you return the old cylinder. So here is one of the plates that we're going to be putting down. I'm going to be greasing the back of it here, which is going to be touching the caliper. Just a thin layer of the silicone grease here. Sorry about the camera work here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side over here with the other pad plate, whatever it's called. Just took the pads out of the old and just placed them in the new here. Everything went in pretty well. So we are ready to put this on the car now, and then we can take the old banjo bolt off, change it over as soon as we can onto here, so hopefully not a whole lot of air gets in the line. Alright, so just holding the caliper in place with one hand and then taking the support screw, the top one, and lining that up. Got that in place. I'm not going to torque it all the way down, just going to tighten it with my wrench a little bit. I'll come back and get it to torque spec later. Okay, now that's in, let's go for the lower bolt. And use 2 hands to just line up the bottom one as well. Went in pretty easy. Both the bolts went into the new caliper. By the way, I'm using the old Caliper bolts, support bolts. I wasn't given any new ones, but these old ones went into the new Caliper support bracket bolt or holes really easy. So yeah, the threads were great. So it is in there just kind of hand tight with the wrench. So now we can work on the banjo fitting here and take the nut off of the old one and put it onto the new one here. Once I remove the banjo bolt, I expect to lose some brake fluid, so I'm going to go ahead and add some to the reservoir here. And I'm going to add some beyond the high mark here and just kind of keep an eye on it according to how much I'm losing. So I don't want this to get too low. I want to try to minimize the amount of air that gets into the line. Okay, this banjo bolt is a 14 millimeter. Alright, so one of my banjo washers went flying, so I haven't been able to find it yet. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolt here and try to plug it up a little bit here so that I can, because it's not leaking a whole lot, but it's, you know, there's one right there. Alright, so I'm just putting this hose in there, try to eliminate some leaking, and I'm going to look for that the other washer. Alright, so I found my other washer here, and it goes on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and take this tube out here. I'm going to go with the old bolt here. It just looks so much better than the new one. So we already have the copper washer on this side. Maybe you can see that. Don't know. So we'll go ahead and put our bolt through. Put the washer on. Line up this part of it right here. And just screw it in place. Yeah, there we go. See how that lines up? Really probably need new washers. I wish they would have came with the new one, but they didn't. So we'll see if this, I can put this in place, screw it in, and see if we have any leakage. All right, we'll check that and see if it continues to leak. Alright, everything's looking good. These slide bolts that were in the new one, I'm expecting them to be in there at torque. So we're pretty much finished with putting the caliper on here. We'll see how much brake fluid we've lost. Right at the still at the high mark, so we're good with that. I will be bleeding the brakes now. Alright, so the mounting bolts or torque plate bolts are supposed to be torqued at 79 foot-pounds. So we're finished here, I guess. I've got the torque plate or the mounting bracket here, the two bolts torque down at 79 foot-pounds. The banjo bolt here, 22 foot-pounds. It's not leaking. Now it's in park, and I have free movement. Free movement here, like it's supposed to be. No dragging. So even though we have air in the brake system, I'm going to go ahead and push the brake pedal and see if the piston is working like it's supposed to. Got a lot of play here. It's getting tighter, even with air in the line. It's tightening up some. So that should have moved the piston before, you know, it would lock up. So with the new piston here, the new cylinder, new piston in the cylinder, as you can see, working just like it's supposed to. So that's the fix for this dragging, in this case locking brake cylinder or caliper. And I will bleed the brakes now to get all the air out of the line that we've allowed to get in there, and that'll be it. Then we'll take it for a test drive. So thanks for watching. Hope it's been helpful, and until next time, take care.